Hey, welcome back to another Tech video. Today we'll see how to assemble and configure a DMR hotspot. And once you have configured and assembled this DMR hotspot, it'll look like this. We'll not be using PyStar, we'll be using WSB, WPSD digital voice. This is from W0CHP. This is a PyStar clone and it offers excellent way to set up your DMR hotspot. Very easy configuration, and from what I've seen compared to PyStar, this thing works. PyStar, I mean, it's you need to get literally lucky to get it working. Sometimes there are so many issues there, but this one works. So I'll be using the image of this. I'll show you from the basic setup of Pi, how to burn this image, how to configure this, everything. So let's start
Okay,
this.
before we start, I just want to show you the hotspot that I have assembled. So this is what the W0CHP version of the hotspot that you see on the screen looks once it is flashed. So I've got here a Pi 0 version 2. This is not the version 1. I moved to version 2 because the version 1 literally cannot handle the load, so it struggles. But version 2 seems to be working very nice, and I'll show you how to configure the Pi image, how to set up the DMR configuration on this for this, and we'll see if we can make some QSOs as well. So I got this board today. I soldered the leads that weren't there, added a heatsink, and put the board, and it's working just fine. Okay, let's start with the process with downloading the image and burning the image onto the SD card. Come back. Okay, before we proceed further, I just want to show you that what we have here is a duplay hotspot, or it's pretty much wrong to call this a duplay hotspot. It's more like a repeater. You will want this when you have lot of conversations and you want one channel for RX and one channel for TX, right? Probably you'll be listening on TS1 and want to do TX on TS2. So you can configure that. And this is the board. It plugs onto a Raspberry Pi. I have a Raspberry Pi 4 year 4 GB. I used it with this, but then I thought I'm not doing so much of DMR work that I need to justify uh, you know blocking up or using up a Raspberry Pi 4 for this. I'll keep this with me. Maybe if I come across a cheap or a low cost Raspberry Pi 3, maybe I'll put this and hook it up. But yeah, so I've configured PyStar for this, and it works. It works great, but I don't have the need for this right now. So what we'll be doing is I'll take out this card, and we'll be burning W0 CHP version of PyStar clone on this, and that's what we'll do today. Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to w0chp.net, and this is where you will find the installation for the DMR hotspot management software that I was telling you about. If you scroll down, and there are some things that you need to read up, I suggest you read up, right? And then once you scroll down, there are links to download. You can download only via installation disk images. Uh, yeah. So getting help, Raspberry Pi Zero. So he says before you configure Raspberry Pi Zero, you need to install a Wi-Fi config and leave it. Yeah, you need to do that. I'll show you how to do that. He has given a Wi-Fi config link to generate. It will generate the Wi-Fi config configuration part. We'll generate it for a local Wi-Fi network, and then we'll see it. Okay. So if you scroll down here, installing W0CHP PyStar Dash, we need to download this. This is the Raspberry Pi disk image for Raspberry Pi 002 models 2, 3, and 4. So it covers almost all versions of Raspberry Pi. So download this. You will get a .exe file. Exe file works with the Raspberry Pi image. Otherwise, you can just untar this and you will get the dot image if you want to use Balena HR or Win32 disk creator or anything like that. But I'll just use Raspberry Pi imager. It works well. So in fact, I've already downloaded this. I have this here. So let me just set up the card, and we'll start the burning process. Okay, so I've inserted the card. Now what we'll do is we'll format that card once. So this is 64 GB card. You don't need that much. 16 GB is more than enough. So once I format that card, and once it is formatted, remember I said I had pi star there. Now it's all gone. Luckily I have backup, and this is, what you get, an empty screen, right? Now let's go back to the folder which had that Linux image. So I'll click on this. I'll click on this. It opens up the Raspberry Pi image, and we our card is on the D drive. So we'll choose storage. It will burn it on D drive. I guess we don't have to do anything, right? Edit settings, we'll just check. So hostname is PyStar, enable SSH. So let me enable SSH here so that I have a default password that I'll give for all my PyStars. And I don't want to configure wireless LAN. There is a different way to do that. Now we'll need base 64 encoding, which that tool will give that. So we'll setting the local settings, Asia, Calcutta, India, and what else? Spy star, all this to use, save. Okay, so we are good there. We'll write. Click on write, SDK, yes, click on write. So it'll take some time to write, and once it finishes writing, I'll come back to you. We'll see how to set up that Wi-Fi credentials using the online tool, and we'll dump that. I'll tell you where to put that, and also what uh, to add to that card before you stick into the Raspberry Pi. Okay, we'll be back. Thank you. Okay, so as you can see, the image has been returned to the card. Now let's continue. We can close this and go to the D drive where it is. It should have opened up D drive. Yeah, here it is. Now here you right click on the Windows Explorer and select a text document. You will get a new, let me hide this out, rename this to SSH, and remove the text. It should be an empty file called SSH, no 0 bytes, no extension, just SSH. This will tell Raspberry Pi when it boots the first time to enable SSH for you, right? Now let's go to the Wi-Fi configuration page. So you click on this, it'll open up this file. I put in some configuration here, and when you click on generate config, it will generate this text file for you. Okay, you need to copy this, and what you need to do is put it in this notepad, and then save it onto D drive as in the boot of D drive as WPA supplicant.conf. WPA supplicant.conf, right? You need to save it as WPA supplicant.conf, and if you go back to D drive, you should see that. Let's refresh. There it is. WPS.txt, no, rename that to conf, right? So if you open up that conf, you should basically get this, right? This, you if you have multiple networks that you need to connect to, run this command multiple times. Add every network that you have, and for each time it will generate a new config. You need to append all the configs into one file, which you see here, right? And after you append, you see this priority. This the priority 100 means your Raspberry Pi will first try to connect to this. If you have multiple ones, you order it on priority, and then change the priority in one number less than 100. So the next priority network that you want to connect, change it to 99. The other network you want to connect, change it to 98. So I have 3 or 4 networks, so mine priority, the last one will get us 96 or 95, right? So hope you got that point. The priority network that you want your hotspot to connect will have 100. The next ones will have lesser by one priority. Okay. So next, this is done. We'll let Raspberry Pi, we'll put it in the hotspot, the card, and we'll let it run for, it'll take up to 30 minutes, but we'll keep on verifying when it is done, and then we'll come back. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to the IP address of the Raspberry Pi. So what I've done is I've already pre-configured my Raspberry Pi Mac to an IP address, so I don't have to hunt for it. Otherwise, you'll need to hunt for it. So, okay, so here it is, WPSD Digital Voice Dashboard for M1 ABC. It says new installation. You'll be redirected to the configuration page in 10 seconds. Here we are, right? So, okay, we'll start with the configuration now. So let us configure the basic stuff. My call sign I'll put VO3 Golf Whiskey November. Hostname I'll leave it at PyStar. It's a simplex operation. 438 megahertz, 800 kilohertz is the frequency that I'll be using. Later on, I'll also show you how to configure your radio's code plug to this frequency. right? If it is duplay, like the board that I showed you earlier, you will get both a TX and a RX. But if it is simple, you'll get only one frequency. If it is duplay, you'll get both RX and TX. We'll get to that, right? Update notifier enabled. We'll update it. Asia Kolkata time is 24 hours. So we'll scroll down. So latitude, longitude, I'll put it for 1297 and 7759 is for Bangalore. I'll put it in Bangalore, India, and I'll put my URL http://qrc.com/db/confiscate. Right. I don't want to enable GPS daemon or APRS right now. I'm good with whatever we have. I don't even have the hardware for that. So we'll be configuring, see, Wi-Fi, because we added that Wi-Fi config. It's already configured. So we are good here. Of course, I did not configure what we already had there, but so remote access password, we don't want to enable anything now. I've already given the SSH password is what I believe. We gave it in the Raspberry Pi image. So we are good. Now apply changes. This will take a moment to reboot and come back. So let it reboot and come back, and then we'll configure the display and we'll set up the DMR for Brandmeister, and then we'll be good to go. Thank you. Let it come back. Yeah, we'll let it come back. Okay, so we are back. It has rebooted, and as you can see, it's asking us to save your configuration/profile. One very good thing is every time you make a change, you can, or before you make the change, you can save your configuration right here in the dashboard or in the management software. And in case something doesn't wrong, you can just restore that configuration, which is fantastic, not available in PyStar, and that will save you a lot of time. So coming back to this, let us select, I just wanted to show you this. Maybe once you select Duplay, it will come. But right now we are not doing it for Duplay. So let us search radio type. We need to MMDVM. So this is the one that we are looking for. We can either use MMDVM, either just or this one. Yeah, this one. This what? Modem baud rate, that is fine. Leave it alone. And then see all this. It's saved very neatly. In PyStar, none of the settings save correctly or even come up in the UI. So this is what I like. So then we'll enable the DMR mode. Once you enable the DMR mode, you also need to reboot for it to come back and ask you the Brandmeister settings. So we'll need one reboot now. Before we go into the reboot, let us type set the display type. I've got a OLED Type 3, which is a 0.96 inches screen. You don't have to, screensaver is enabled. You don't have to change the port. Port will be fine. We are not doing Nexian, so leave it alone. Firewall configuration, everything is private. That's fine. Yeah, this is all we have seen earlier, right? So let us click on apply change, and it should come back fairly fast. Okay, let's come back once it's done.
Okay, let me show you the modem now. As you can see, it's started to initialize. The display has come up. We selected OLED Type 3 and the display has come up. It says initializing. Yeah, I guess it will stay at initializing and won't connect to any talk groups because we have not configured the DMR ID yet. So let's configure DMR ID, and the screen has come up. So let's go to the screen and configure the DMR ID. Thank you.
Okay, now that the WPSD DMR management console has rebooted, like I said, once you enable DMR mode, next reboot, you will get the screen, which is DMR gateway. You can select DMR gateway here and then select, by default, it goes to United States, but usually we select 5102 Malaysia, 5021 Malaysia, because I believe this is the fastest network for India. And hotspot security, I'll show you where you can get that hotspot security. In your Brandmeister console, you go to self care, and once you go to self care, you put in your new password and save the password here. I won't be doing it because I don't want to change what I've put here. So once you save the password here, you come back, you paste it here, right? I paste it here. ESS ID you need to check because you can be using the same ID from your Droid Star or Droid Dude or Dude Droid, whatever, Dude Star, and then here. So for Brandmeister, it needs to understand what device are you using, right? I'm already doing using another device. So this one, it needs to recognize from which device are you operating the radio from, right? So we'll select this. Right now I'll put it at 45. So this will be device number 45, right? This DMR, right? We are not setting up free DMR, System X, TGIF, I'm not setting it up now, but similarly, you go to TGIF network, you'll get a key, you put it here, and you'll be good to go. Nothing. So we'll go back here and we'll set the DMR ID, right? -404037. That's my DMR ID, right? And one more thing I wanted to mention here is it says you need a BMI key, right, to enter in the BMI. So where do you get this Brandmaster API key, right? You go to Brandmaster. Uh, Here you go to profile settings, right? In profile settings, click on API keys here. Okay. As you can see, I've already created API key, which I've stored it in the notepad here. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this, copy, go back here. You need a BMI key. It opens up this. Okay, let's go back here. Enter in the BMI key API editor, right? So paste the key here and apply changes. Okay, so you're good to go. Back to okay, apply changes and configuration. Yeah. Okay. So you have entered the BMI API key. You have entered the. Okay, we did not save, so we left everything like that. Okay. We should have saved that. Okay. Let me enter this and come back. So I've selected Malaysia back here again and entered hotspot security. We selected 45, so I'll keep it at 45. And we are not selecting anything else. Everything else is good. We have also added the BMI API key. I showed you where to get it from. So we are good. And let's apply the changes. Right. So let it come back and then we'll see whether we are able to connect to BMI Brandmeister network. Thank you. Okay, so we are back after the reboot and we have set all the settings and it has rebooted now. So let's go to the dashboard. I have the dashboard here. You see that DMR green means the modem is working just fine, and DMR net means it is connected to the Brandmeister network. So that's great. Unlinked time slot 2 is enabled, but unlinked means we have not operated the radio yet. That's fine. So this setup is almost done. Let's see the how the hotspot looks now. So you see this is how the hotspot, the screensaver is on and it's connected. It's showing the IP address. It's saying idle. Okay. The setup for Brandmeister on the W0 CHP DMR dashboard management software is done. Let us now look at the code plug part of the side to configure some channel zones and then see how we can trigger this and maybe have a QSO. Thank you. 1.1.3e. Some of the older version bugs have been fixed, but it's still pretty. Let's say it works, but it's not very user friendly. Okay, so let's talk groups. This is all the talk groups that I've created. Parrot, Brandmeister Parrot, TJF Parrot, Brandmeister talk group for South Carolina. I have some friends there, and Chennai, Worldwide TG India, TG Bangalore. So these are the talk groups that I've selected. Pretty much any standard, you know, code plug, right? Now what we'll do is we'll create some channels for the frequency that we have created. So this is the software, or these are the channels that by default was given to me by VU3 Oscar India Mic. So what I've done is I've come up with a way to figure out which channel can be used with Bangalore repeater, which channel with my dual hotspot, and which channel with my single hotspot. Right. So these are the default channels that are already coming in the code plug that if you can get from Venkat Oscar India Mic. So what I've done is I've copied and pasted some of these. Okay, as here. Um, So as you can see, HPD means it's a hotspot hotspot duplay. So these are all the channels for a hotspot duplay. So when you open it, what is the difference between a hotspot duplay and this is? So in the duplay version of the hotspot, what I've given is I've given the TX frequency as 438.8 and the RX frequency as 438.500. In the code plug, you need to reverse it. So in the code plug, the receive will be 438.8, which is the TX on the DMR hotspot, and the transmit will be 438.5, which will be the receive on the DMR hotspot, right? So this is the only change you need to do when you are working with do player hotspots, right? So let me cancel out of that, right? So all of this still connect to the same contacts that I showed you. These are the contacts, the talk groups that I showed you earlier. This is the only change, right? Now I have these configured as hotspot solo, which means single hotspot. So when you go here, the frequency is same for both receive and transmit. As you can see, it is 438 800, 438.8 megahertz, 438.8 megahertz. So I was talking to VU3 CQM. He was telling me that this hotspot also works on VHF. I haven't tested it. Probably I will. Probably I don't. I'm happy with UHF, right? So that's fine. It's your wish. You can change the frequency to a VHF frequency on the on this one in configuration. Okay. Oh, I'll switch it off. Okay, that's fine. You can change that in the configuration VHF frequency if you want, but I'm good with UHF. So these are the channels that I've created for hotspot solo, and these are the channels I've created for hotspot duplex. Now, how do we add these channels? So what you can do is you can add zones, right? In your Alinco, when you move up and down, that two middle buttons underneath the screen or just below the screen are the zone buttons. So I have a zone for Bangalore repeater 2ZO, which is VU2ZO. So when I open up, all these channels will come under that, right? Now I created one channel for analog. So these are all the analog repeaters. I can probably remove ZO as well. Let it be there, right? Then I've got a hotspot solo channels. These are the HPS ones that I had a zone for HPD, hotspot duplay, but since I'm not using duplay, I don't want another thing to go up and down, right? So I left it like that. So I selected all these channels. Okay, and then I've got a parrot channel for both Brandmeister and just for debugging purposes on the handy. So this is how I've configured my code plug. Pretty easy way. Pretty you can add more. So if you want to add talk groups, you need to add a talk group here, then go create a channel for that talk group, and then either you can add it to an existing zone or create a new zone. So that is how this will work. um, Sorry. Yeah, so first is you add one talk group first, right? First is that, then you add a channel. My mouse drawing is pretty bad. And then you add a zone, right? This is number 3, this is 2, right? So that's how you do it. Okay, first you add a talk group, then you add a channel, and then once everything is done, you can sync it to your radio. Right now my radio syncs, so I'm not doing anything. Okay, that's it from my side. Let us see if we can boot up the hotspot, connect to the radio, and make some QSOs. Okay.
Hey, welcome back. This is the hotspot that we just configured. I put that in the case, locked it down pretty tight. You can see the SD card here, and this is what you get on the market if you buy a assembled one. So happy that I've been able to show you how to, kind of assemble and configure it. So hope you'll be able to do it on your own. I'll also add links to where I bought the radio board from on eBay. Add a link to that, and also add the link where I usually buy Raspberry Pi Zero. That is from robo.in. Best place to buy your Raspberry Pis or any other hardware. Very good, dependable site. So I'll add the links in the description below. Hope you make one and have a great time on the DMR doing it. Thank you. Victor United 3 Golf Whiskey November. Old man, didn't get your call sign. Can you please come back again? Roger, Roger. VU2 Sierra Zulu Victor. This is VU3 Golf Whiskey November. Just making a call. I'm doing a video for YouTube on DMR setup. Just made a call. Thank you for answering my call. Right now, I don't have. I am not seeing your name. Can you come back with your name and QTH, please? Handle and QTH.
Roger, Roger, VU2 Sierra Zulu Victor, VU3 Golf Whiskey November. Thank you so much for coming to my call. Excellent copy here.